Yeah, and see when you brought out television, I think that's where change is taking place because I can say maybe over the past year, I have seen more shows that where the lead roles are lesbian or homosexuals in the lead role with great storylines and everything. And they're able in these movies to openly display what their sexual preferences are. So I don't particularly care for them, but they are getting placed in mainstream where people are able to be more comfortable.
Yeah. So do you feel like those certain things bring more of a humanity to that as opposed to that being something weird and something, despicable? Does it bring more of a humanity, more of a humanness to it? Like, this is a human being, this is a real life experience that's being shown? Or do you feel like it's to change the minds of people? Because I hear some people using certain things to say that they're trying to make our kids gay. They're trying to make our kids confused. Do you see those roles and those images as just telling stories and bringing a humanness to it? Or do you see it as an agenda to turn the hearts of the kids?
I see it as an agenda. However, in order to change the hearts, you have to make it seem normal.
Right.
You have to give it normality.
Right.
And that's with anything. Just like the music that we hear now. 20 years ago?
Yeah. No, you can't say that. You can't say that. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why. Now let me let you finish and then I'm gonna give a point. So yeah, music 20 years ago.
So in order to make change to the masses, you have to start introducing things.
Right.
You do it just a little bit here, a little bit there. When you do it enough, you normalize it.
Right.
And that's the thing that way back years ago with Tesla and all these other scientists and people, they understood how the mind works.
Right.
And based on how the mind works, they can make you do whatever they want you to do, given enough time. So this is something that has been on the table for a long time. And the fact of the matter is, we've got so many people, old people that have made laws. There are laws on the books we don't even know about, Warren.
Yeah.
Crazy laws on the books. And in some places, there's still a little bit of active slavery going on.
Yeah.
So because there are so many laws, so many things going on, people are influenced more about what they see and what they hear, not by what they read.
Right.
So the way to influence a person is to show them things and let them hear things.
Television, right?
Yeah, it's television.
Yeah.
So they're telling us a story that they want us to accept, but they have to do it in such a way to get us used to it. So that's why I say in the past year, I've seen more movies like that than, you sit down and try to watch a movie and you say, oh, you just...
No warning.
There was nothing in the movie that would cause that.
Not even in the description. Like, when sometimes you go to Netflix or whatever movie channel and they'll have a description. Oh, cop does such. But then halfway, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Then halfway through the movie, it's like you see those sorts of scenes and things. At least give me a,
a heads up
on the type of characters I'm dealing with, so I can make a knowledgeable choice whether to watch it or not to watch,
So after I see a scene, and I decide whether I'm going to continue to watch or not. And so the narrative of it is, if it's a good movie, they draw you into it to where you have to see what the end goes. So it's always there's always a story behind the story. So and even when you look at a lot of shows that they're putting on TV, there's a lot of violence and there's just so much that they're feeding us. Even I'll say this and then I'll let you go on.
Okay.
Even with rap music, I brought up music. they interviewed two or three different rappers. I forget what the podcast was, and they were talking about how music executives are paying them more to come up with lyrics that about violence and about killing and all those things, because there are prisons that are built that they get a kickback if they keep them full. This stuff we don't know about. You got to go look and dig and say, oh, I didn't know that was going on. So there's so much going on that we just have to, as the narrative, you know where they're ending up. It's going to end up the way it's going to be male, female, and LGBTQIA. Yeah, they will have every right that they want to have. It's just taking time to get there. So I just believe that that's where they're going. But again, every individual, has a choice to where are you going to accept or are you not? It's a big picture.
Yeah, it is, man. It really is. And I'm gonna say one last thing on that. For me, even when I think about this, is where my mind is. Even when I think about LGBTQ community. LGBTQ community still consists of male and female.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just sexual preference and identity of who they see themselves as. So it's I'm kind of understanding more about the nuance. But there was this that I don't hear much about that even took my mind a little bit farther. So I was watching a Netflix documentary on asexual people, which is basically, it could be it's a person that's born with both anatomies.
Okay.
It may not be fully formed or fully developed, but they have both anatomy. And so even in hearing their stories and their experiences, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, there was one person that was an asexual person that was talking about how when they were about 7 years old, they went to the doctor. Their parents were kind of trying to figure out, okay, is this our son, our daughter, just based upon how they were physically developing. And by the time they came out of there, the doctor couldn't necessarily give them a specific gender as to what their child was. And so they asked the child, well, hey, do you want to be a boy? Do you want to be a girl? There were people, within that community or that were actually raised as girls, but when they got older, they chose to be or to express themselves as male. So it's like, that's a whole nother facet of, a conversation that I hadn't even been introduced to until, just scrolling through Netflix. I'm like, man, I've heard of asexual, but what is it? And actually hearing them speak from their experiences and a lot of the challenges and the emotional strain, and I mean, just the humanity of it, really hearing those stories really helped me to not necessarily change what I think, but it gives me more perspective and understanding that, there's the subject even goes so much deeper than, what you hear just on the news every day or just, in social media or even from the pulpit. There are nuances to every conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, even in that's where I think we cannot forget, regardless to what we see in life, regardless to what goes on, that we are spirits. Yeah. We have a brain or a mind, and we live in a body. The most important part of us is our spirit. Yeah. And talking about asexual, it's like in their spirits, even as a baby growing up, they know who they are. And if I was a parent of an asexual person, I would be very sensitive to who they are, how they're growing up. Because children, they are all, as they're growing up, they kind of let you know just what they're comfortable with. If they're out playing, shooting marbles or playing with baby dolls or whatever, Yeah. And so what happens is between 0 and 7 years old, they are just like sponges. Yeah. They are absorbing everything they hear, what they see, where they go, what their parents do, all of those things, which help drive them into the person that they want to be. So we have to be very careful as we raise our kids to really pay close attention to them as they grow up. Like with you, we knew that you were going to be a musician. We just knew that, you know. And with Michelle, we kind of knew she was gonna go somewhere in the medical field. We just didn't know what, just by the way she just colored her dolls and she would wipe them and all the little things. Yeah. So I just think a person dealing with something like that, first of all, they probably want to, you know, do some counseling and all. Yeah. But we shouldn't know that that person is asexual. The only person should know is their parents and whoever they're intimate with. Yeah. So that would eliminate a lot of ridicule or a lot of anything that they may personally go through. I mean, this is something.
Hey, but that's a great point. So I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Based on what you just said, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
So with you saying that nobody should even know, which is then except them and the person that they're intimate with. When it comes to transgenders going into bathrooms of the opposite, you know, if they're born a woman, they have the transition surgery become have the transition surgery and everything, and they look like a man or present as a man. If we don't know that they're coming into the bathroom, but they look like a man, and you don't know that it's a woman, would you feel any different?
Well, I don't think we should get to that point.
Okay.
That's my thing. I mean, we can come to accept anything.
But we're there though.
Yeah.
We're literally there right now. I've seen a bunch of videos and just people, you know, I even knew a guy that was having a transit, that was going through the transition some years back. Great guy, cool guy, super cool, when I worked with special needs. But super cool guy. But long story short, we're there right now. There are people that you would see, you would think this a full. Go to Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit. Literally people you would never know on both sides of that coin.
Yeah.
So we're there now. Does it really matter to you if you don't know, or is the outrage? I don't even want outrage is a heavy word, but is the concern more of if it looks like the opposite sex coming into the bathroom, or is that just a standard across the board, period?
I think that's just for me personally.
Yeah.
I think it's
that's what I'm asking, just how you personally
I think it's me personally, it's the thing of, there's a man going into a female restroom. I'm pretty sure if it was said, well, you know, if a woman comes into a man restroom and want to use the restroom, it's okay. Most men would say that's okay. Yeah. But it's the men don't want men going into women's restroom. I think that's really the issue. Right. Because it's just because of pedophile and things, which is another whole subject.
Another whole subject. Yeah. I mean, seriously, when you think about the R. Kellys and the Epsteins and all of that sort of a thing, where you had and not even them, but just everyday people that you see on the that you'll see on the videos where you see them catching people going to but they kind of set them up and they talk to underage kids online. That's a real concern, and it's a larger problem than people give it credit for.
And I think that's the problem that spills over into the LGBTQ community because of the pedophiles and things like that. And so we gave you a restroom, go there. So that's going.
But that I think would really take a pedophile would take full advantage of that. Yeah. Would literally take full advantage of that. So my little contribution to the conversation as far as solution, if you have men bathroom, women bathroom, and a unisex bathroom, or family bathroom, or we've gone to restaurants where it has both labels on the door and the stalls are completely covered, so you already know what you're walking into.
That would answer the question. That would solve the problem. That would solve the problem.
Yes. And everybody would be able to be aware and understand what's going on, and parents would be able to watch their kids and things.
There you go.
Simple label. So next up.
There you go. Next up. And we get a cut of the money.
We get a cut 10%.
We came up with it.
Right. So yes, speaking of being Epstein, right?